gentlemen, it's another installation of Indie Comic Secrets. I have a dope artist, colorist, writer in the back, all in one. Hey man, his art, incredible. If you into the Bad Girls comic books back in the 90s, trust me, you're going to like this interview right here. My man, my friend, Nick Caponi. How you doing, my friend?
Sub, how are you?
Oh man, doing great, brother, doing great. Can't wait to, dig in your mind, pick your
Yeah.
brain for a little bit, because you got some accolades to you, man. You're not just a regular indie guy, You ain't just a regular Kickstarter guy. You got Image behind your name.
hmm
You got Dynamite behind your
hmm
name. Archie Comics behind your name.
Yeah.
The Joe Kubert School behind your name. So,
hmm
man, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. This is how I always open up my interview with people. How did you get your love for comic books? What's the origin behind Nick? What's the origin
So
story?
I remember I was always creative as a kid, and I was always drawing since as long as I can remember. But I remember when I was around like 5 or 6 years old, every Wednesday coming home from kindergarten or preschool, whatever that was, I would watch reruns of Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules with Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. That was the best time after school watching them two shows, man.
yeah. So it was like my favorite like pastime. But I remember I would get like notebook paper and I would draw. I mean, look, I was like 5 or 6 years old, but I was like drawing like all like the characters, like what I would see. So I always had a knack for just drawing, and like I would make my own scenes. I would make
Yeah.
like these like Xena fighting Callisto or
Okay.
Hercules in there. But I think when it came to comics, I mean, my parents always introduced me to the basics. So Batman, Spider-Man. I was a big X-Men kid.
You know
Um,
what's funny? Not to cut you off, but this is what's funny. Everybody I talked to, me included, our parents was the ones that introduced us to
yeah,
comics.
they. I felt like they saw me getting like, I don't want to say bored, but like I wanted something beyond, just the regular Disney movies that every parent plays for their kids. So I was like really into like Batman the animated series, and then uh like
Yeah,
I like Superman, but I was definitely more in like with Batman and Wonder Woman. But
yeah.
I loved like that 90s X-Men show. Loved, and then like when the first X-Men movie came out, I like begged my parents. I was still too young. I was like 5 years old when that movie came out. So like I was like begging my parents to go see it in theaters, and
Yeah.
it was this whole thing. But I remember loving it was just something else like that wasn't Disney or something that wasn't like Mickey or
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just found an interest to it. And then my my gateway into my first comic I ever picked up, which frankly I don't think would be age appropriate, but I remember it was Catwoman number 13 with by Jim Ballant. It was when Catwoman was fighting Azrael.
Is this the
Um,
cat woman with the tight purple suit?
the purple
Okay, yeah,
suit,
yeah.
the best
Yeah, yeah.
Catwoman.
Yeah. That purple suit, she might as well been nude, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
pretty much. But you know something? I think she definitely was the mainstream bad girl character,
She
especially in the
was.
90s.
She was.
And I think that costume, as simple as it was like, you know, all visual, everything aside, because
Oh,
it's
trust
smart.
me, I didn't
Yeah.
mind. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, no, but it was just such a good design. It was
But
simple.
I never thought about that, Nick. Catwoman might be the original bad girl.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
People will always debate that Vampirella was the original bad girl character.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think Vampirella was kind of like a stepping stone.
Okay.
Um, and Lady Death is what put the genre on the map.
Right. I
So
forgot
like
about Lady Death.
that's what made it more like a profitable, like people want this sexy like sorceress woman. And then the next level to Lady Death was definitely like Witchblade, because when the big Image boom,
Top Cow.
Top Cow,
Yeah,
Witchblade was everywhere.
it
So
was everywhere. Yeah.
it's just started layering more and more. But I will say, people might call Van Pearl the first bad girl character, but I
Okay.
think she was just more of a stepping stone, because I don't know, like, I don't consider her a bad girl character,
Okay.
as
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
controversially.
All right. This is what I always do to get people to know the person I'm talking to. Uh, I have 3 questions rolled into one.
Okay.
Who is your favorite comic book writer? Who is your favorite comic book artist? And who is your favorite comic book character?
Ooh, all right. Comic book writer. I have to say John Byrne. I always had, like, there was never like a John Byrne run, especially like my introduction to him was Sensational She-Hulk, and I just thought at the time it was like genius, like how he was breaking the fourth wall. And sure, he was petty, like his writing was petty towards Marvel and the industry, but no one was doing that at the time. No
Yeah.
one had the guts to do what he was doing with his writing.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, he was just a lot of fun. So I will
Okay.
say my favorite writer is John Byrne, second
Okay.
to Chris Claremont. And
Okay.
favorite comic book artist is a very tough question, but um, I might have to go with Jaime Hernandez of Love and Rockets. He's
Okay.
he to me is one of the greatest storytellers of all time. He's able to convey such emotion and such feeling with such simplistic looking art, and I
Yeah.
always think he's just a master at it.
Okay.
Favorite comic book character, I'm gonna have to say Lady Death. I actually have a Lady Death tattoo on my upper thigh.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't show it because it would require me to drop my pants in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But I do. She is my favorite character because,
Okay.
and we can go into that later. But there's just a lot of reasons. But I think
What's the number one
ultimately,
reason?
uh, oh man, one reason, I just think it goes beyond just a quote unquote booby book. It
I mean, because when they come to Lady Death, when you walking through the comic book shop or if you scrolling on the comic book website, that Lady Death, you're going to stop. And like you said, it's not just a boob or nude type of book. It's just her presence. You know what I mean? Like it demands your attention.
Yeah, she's a
You know?
compelling, and not only that, but her story is like, it's just, she's a compelling character. Her
Yeah.
like constant character growth, and it makes sense. So I think she's definitely a well-rounded character, and that's why I
Yeah.
always liked her. But I remember just like seeing her at like a local comic shop, and I was like, "What is this?" And like visibly, that my parents wouldn't let me take home. But I
Yeah.
I later, when I was an adult, I bought a lot of the old issues, but
Yeah.
there was just something so captivating about her. And
And see, this the thing about like me and you. I'm like that about Lady Sonia. I'm not buying the book because it's a new woman with less clothes. No, I appreciate the art. I appreciate the story
yeah,
surrounding the character. You know, I'm just appreciating the art. Period. You
yeah.
know, so I definitely get it. I definitely get it.
Yeah, like it, and I think too, it's like, and by no means is this like a jab towards anybody, but like
Yeah.
I think in this new age, that's what I look for the most in a lot of these new age bad girl books. I look at the substance of it. Like if it's just a character solely based on the sex appeal and not a lot of plot to back it up, it might be good for other audiences, but for me, I'd rather go with, having a, seductive character, but also with a plot, with character growth, like
Yeah.
substance. Just, and that's what I feel Lady Death had. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Uh, you went to the Joe Kubert school. This is what I noticed.
mhm.
Most of the guys, girls that come from that school are awesome, incredible artists. What is the secret? Is y'all like some kind of secret cult or something that the
So, so there's like a few I also teach there now, so I'm a full-time instructor there for the college
oh
program.
wow,
But
okay.
I think when I was a student there, and I've been going to that school since I was like 11 years old, so I'm 30 now. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
been a long time since I've been going there. But the cool thing about that school is that it's an artist's boot camp. So you're going to be drawing. There's no math. There's no science. There's no English. You're going to be drawing 5 days a week
Let me
and
ask you a
more.
question though. Uh do they take somebody who has no art drawing skills at all? Or do you have to have a little bit of that inside of you?
I think we have a lot. We have every student we have is at a different level. However, all of our students have what I like to call a very basic understanding. Their art doesn't have to be like Jim Lee level. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, Dan DeCarlo level. It doesn't have to be like this masterful level. If
But
it is,
Nick, this is what I'm asking. Do
yeah.
y'all take somebody that draws stick figures?
Uh, I won't say yes, but I won't say no. But I will
Okay.
say that it would definitely be a very strenuous journey in this
Okay.
school if your drawing skills are um, very limited. And there by no means that like any judgment. It's just because we're doing a lot of, we do have like our basic drawing classes, our figure drawing classes. So you will get better,
Yeah.
but we strive to get our students to a point where they're hireable in a sense of companies will hire them and
Okay.
clients would hire them.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it's a whole like boot camp, and there's business classes, and like the cool thing is you can't pick your classes. We pick your classes for you, and everyone's on the same page. But you're also being taught by like legends in the industry. Like I was taught by when I was a student. I was taught by Adam and Andy Kubert. Unfortunately I just missed Joe by 1 year since because he passed.
Yeah.
Um, but I was taught by Adam and Andy, Jan
That,
Dursema.
that's dope. I'm a big Andy Cuba fan. Big
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom Mandrake, he was one of my instructors, Kim DeMolder, like all these like greats. And and even now too, like the president of the school, Anthony Marquez, he's currently on Superman right now and doing really awesome stuff with DC. He was one of my teachers too. And like it's a tough school. It's the school, I will say, that separates, again, there's no shade, the hobbyists
Big
and the
artist.
ones who want to do this as a career. And
Gotcha.
it's a really big commitment. Like when I tell
Gotcha.
you, like you're drawing 7, 8, 9 hours a day every single day,
Wow.
and
Wow.
like it's a lot. You pretty much like eat it, breathe it, and get it out of your body at the
So
same
you
time.
have seen people that was kind of BSing, just say, hey, this is not for me.
Yeah, and like there's no judgment towards that. I think people just don't realize the extent of like the intensity of our program sometimes,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
just think that they're gonna come in and they're gonna draw their little fan arts, and if it gets them work, great. If it doesn't, also
Yeah.
great. Like
Yeah.
the idea of them going out into the real world and making it into a career was not really the primary goal. It was maybe more to improve their artwork. It maybe was to meet contacts. Like there's people that come to school for many different reasons, but ultimately our goal is to get you guys to a level where companies are hiring you, and you could make a career out of this.
So it sounds like when you go to the school, not only are you improving on your skills, but you also improving on business as far as what this comic book company is looking for. How you're supposed to draw this to get noticed. Is it stuff like that, business stuff?
Yeah, we go over contact, like contracts. We go over tabling at conventions.
Wow.
We go over speaking to editors, emailing editors. We go
Okay.
how to negotiate something. We even obviously introduced in the world of self-publishing. We have our own self-publishing kind of section of the business. We go over how to brand yourself, how to remain consistent, how to build a portfolio, like so many different things, and like how to deal with a client, like how to answer an email properly and how to be consistent. Like
Wow.
if you don't hear from an editor right away, when do you follow up? When do you reach out again? So there's a lot of different things we go over, but the
Okay.
business is a huge, huge aspect towards it. And I remember there was a time where my business class, the instructor, he would give you 2 grades for each assignment you do. And the first grade was the grade you deserved for the assignment. And the second grade, he would either give you a U or an H. And the U stood for unhireable and H
Wow.
stood for hireable. So and like from a surface level, you might think that's insane, that's tough.
Yeah.
But the purpose of it was to get your brain working and to be like, all right, if I keep getting a U, how can I improve so I can get a hireable, or
That's
how I get.
awesome, though.
So it's really a boot camp for
I
artists.
was right about to say that's a boot. That's a boot
Yeah.
camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I was reading your bio on Facebook, and it said that you're doing work for Image, you're doing work for Dynamite, you're doing work for Archie. What are these comic books, if you don't mind me asking?
So with Image, I worked on Stray Dogs. I worked on a
Oh, that's a big
cover.
book.
Yeah, so I colored a cover by Bill Walko.
Okay.
He's a friend of mine. He's an Archie artist. He also the stuff I worked on with Archie. I recently did Betty and Veronica special. It was like a cover. Basically, Veronica was homaging Sensational She-Hulk, like that iconic John Byrne cover.
Yeah.
And then I did. It wasn't directly solicited with the book, but it was like a bonus print for the Archie Meets Jay and Silent Bob book.
Okay.
And then for Dynamite, the last big project I worked on with Dynamite was Wacky Races. So I colored it's like a 40-page one shot of Penelope Pit Stop. I also did, I do a lot of, I color a lot of the Space Ghost covers and Herculoids and
Man, those Space Ghost covers are dope.
Thank you.
I did not know you was behind those. I got some of those.
Yeah, like all the covers by Anthony Marquez are by me. So like for the colors. And yeah, no, it's really fun. I've been working with Dynamite for about, I think this would be year 6. So like I would do everything from like sketch cards with them. I've worked on Betty Page. I've worked on Green Hornet. I've done a Vampirella story last year. So I like that company because I just like the characters that they put out.
You got a heck of a resume, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I also have done stuff with IDW. About a year ago, I did a Turtles cover, so that was cool. I worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, like I like having like a balance of like indie credentials and also mainstream credentials. It's kind of cool. So it's like, I don't want to use the word double dip, but I like, being able to experience both sides.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But man, you just named a lot of big indies. Archie. A lot of people don't mention Archie, but Archie is a big indie.
Yeah.
Image, of course, the biggest. IDW, Dynamite. Dynamite is the newcomer, but doing big things. Have you worked for the big 2?
I did production work with DC. So it was like a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff. I was just kind of retouching like old Batman stories from like the 50s and 40s. But it was just more on like the back end production stuff. But I actually don't even know what they used those for, but I remember it was a production gig with DC, which was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I still technically say it counts. I put it on my resume that I worked for DC, but outside of that, I've never worked with Marvel.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So people out there that's wondering, getting work, doing work for Image, how hard was that getting on with them? And I'm picking Image because that's the biggest out of all the indies you just mentioned.
well, I'm going to say it this way because I feel like colorists have a different approach to finding work. And why I say that is because a lot of the time you're being approached by an artist who's looking for a colorist, or they usually have a pretty good say in who they want as a colorist to the editor. Like they'll let their editor know, hey, we like Nick. Can we have Nick color this cover?
Yeah.
And if the editor is like, well, if, show me his samples, but I trust your judgment, we'll bring him on. So when it came to the Image gig, the artist Bill Walko, I was talking to him at New York Comic Con. This was like 3 years ago. And he was like, hey, look, I have an Image cover if you're down to color. It's for Stray Dogs. It's a quick turnaround. Let me know. I'll be 100% down. Like, my editor is cool with it too. Like, I showed him your stuff. But so it's kind of that way where it's like colorists usually kind of piggyback off of the artists to be like, hey, if you want colors, let me know. I'll gladly do them. But there are some cases, like, for example, with Dynamite, since I have worked with editors before on Dynamite, I usually just reach out directly to them, like to the editors. Gotcha. But in other cases, it's really the artist essentially puts in a good word, and all of a sudden you're on the book.
Okay, because man, your colors, man. Oh man, your artists are really fantastic. Your colors, man. Yeah, man. Your stuff really pop out. I'm talking about, to me, your style, your colors is like a modern day 90s.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's like a modern day 90s where it seems like now, and I'm a rookie artist, I'm very rookie, but you make your stuff big and pop out like the 90s. You don't see that much of that these days. You know?
Well, obviously as a product of 90s comics, being a big fan, like I remember this is like a very specific thing that happened, but I was talking to, if you're familiar with the artist Jamie Tyndall, and I was talking to him at a show, and I was asking for color work, looking around. If you need a color, let me know. He told me something very interesting that he always tells his colorists, and he's looking for something called 90s polished. So basically, you reinvent what the 90s look like if it was right now. And that stuck with me artistically beyond my colors. And I was like, I want to make characters that have a 90s polished feel. I want my art to be 90s polished, where it's still modern, it's still up to date, but there's like that little sparkle from the 90s that lies within the art. So I really take inspiration for that. I forgot his name, but there's this cover artist for Marvel. He's doing a lot. He did a lot of the Savage Land Road covers. It was like pure 90s heaven. And this is like
talking about Carrie Andrews. Did you
Yeah, it was Carrie Andrews. Yeah. I love their stuff because that's 90s polish. So there's like that, you could tell just by the way the females are, like their figures and everything. Like I see a little like old school Mike Diodato Jr. in there. Like it's gorgeous. So that's kind of like what I live up to, even with my own stuff. Like I like to call it 90s polished.
I think that's the best way to describe your style is 90s polish. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Speaking of 90s polish, purity.
Mm-hmm.
What is this comic all about? When we first met, and we met on Niobe Comics channel, and you was promoting Purity, and I was like, man, this book looks incredible. Tell the people out there what Purity is all about. What's the story behind it? What's the characters behind it? What's Purity all about?
So Purity is my love letter to the 90s. That character was 15 years in the making. I actually made her back in high school. Nowhere near what she looks like now, but pretty much I wanted a sexy, badass character. I love witches. I love Salem witch trials. So basically, what the story is about, it's a tale of revenge in hopes of redemption into heaven. So basically, we start off with this Puritan girl named Margaret Adams, and she is damned wrongfully for the death of an infant and is condemned to, hang at the stake, be and like with witchcraft and such.
So sort of
And
kind of like a Salem
mhm,
witch type of vibe.
yeah,
Okay.
spot on. And what we don't realize is the mastermind behind this was her sister Mary Adams, who's the actual witch, and she
Oh, okay.
planned this whole thing,
Okay.
kind of like a blood oath to Satan. So basically, Mary can remain immortal if she sacrifices a child and she swaps her soul with the soul of a pure virgin, and that
Okay.
soul will be sent to the underworld. So Margaret goes to the underworld, and she realizes she's been enslaved there for 500 years. She realizes that she was part of this oath and she wants to seek revenge. So she decides to escape the underworld, Little Nicky style. I will say the movie Little Nicky by Adam Sandler.
Hey, it's that's influence though. It's nothing
It's a
wrong with that.
spoof.
Yeah.
And when she leaves the underworld, she actually freezes the gates of hell, so no new souls can come in and fuel Satan's power.
It's
So
interesting.
Satan doesn't like that. And so Purity escapes and she awakens back in Salem, but it's not Salem 1673, it's Salem 2096. So she's
Okay.
in the deep future. And as the journey continues, she finds out her sister is this massive billionaire celebrity who
Okay.
owns a coffee company. And while she's hunting for her sister, Satan sends two bounty hunters to retrieve her. So not only is Purity on the hunt for her sister, but she's also being hunted and not knowing she's being hunted as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so that's where the story lies so far. We currently are about 4 issues in.
That's awesome.
We're launching issue 4 in March. And
Okay.
like I said, it really takes big inspiration from Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, Lady Death,
Yeah.
Evangeline. So it's, if you love bad girl books, if you love witches, demons, even angels, we're going to be introducing angels soon.
Okay.
You will love Purity. It's again the 90s polished. It's
I was right about to say that. That's very 90s
yeah,
polished.
and
Yeah.
when making the book, it I wanted to continue this revolution of new age bad girl books, because I want to say that bad girl books died out in the very early 2000s. I know Boundless tried to do something with it. There's other companies that did like small press stuff, but I feel like we didn't really get a surge of bad girl characters until maybe like the mid 2010s, when Kickstarter was really at its peak.
Yeah.
So I looked at that and I was like, I think this is my time to shine, because I had this story idea on the back burner for like, at that point it was like 12, 13 years. And I was like, something, working on Reign of Ages, working on other projects that were funded through Kickstarter, it gave me the confidence to, publish my own stuff, like,
Yeah.
on my own. And, I
So
was,
so Reign of Ages came before Purity.
yeah. So Reign of
Okay.
Ages came at, I want to say I started working on Reign of Ages at 2021, 2020.
Okay.
So it was like, and
And
Sam
I
could
have Reign of Ages too. I have it. Yeah.
Thank you. No,
Yeah.
and Sam could attest to this too. It was like a shower thought I had, but not in like a dirty way. It was just an idea I had in the shower.
Yeah.
And
Well,
coincidentally,
that's one of your best ideas. Either when you
yeah,
like working out or when you in the shower. For some reason, your
yeah.
best ideas start formulating.
Oh, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
remember it coincidentally was like 3 a.m. And so
Yeah.
I was like, it was one of those ideas that I couldn't lay to rest until I called Sam at 3 a.m. and was like, hey, I have an idea. Sam, being Sam, was wide awake. So I was like, all right, good. I got you at the right time. And I'm like, here's this idea that I have. And we really hit it off with that. But after working on that book, I realized that now that I know like the behind the scenes of what it takes to make a book, from beyond production, like, how to fund it, how to brand it, how to promote it, how to like
Yeah.
get your numbers right and everything, it made it more comforting to put out my own stuff. So
Yeah.
I launched Purity #1 in 2023,
Okay.
and I launched issue 2 early 2024. Then I
Oh, so
launched
you back to back each year.
back to back, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that's great.
issue 3 we launched early in the year, in March, and
Okay.
then now we launched a special edition of Purity #1 with a brand new cover, and then we're doing issue 4 next year. So I'm trying. I launched midway of this year. I launched my own publishing company on my own title that I put under my
Wow.
book under. So it's
Okay.
called Sky Maiden Studios, and
Okay.
our goal. I've had meetings with some of my advisors, some of the people on my team. What we're going to be doing next year is we're going to be doing a quarterly schedule. So I'm
Wow.
putting out 4 books next year, and it's going to be very exciting. 2 of them, well, 3 of them are Purity books, and then one of them is a brand new title I'm working on called Cinderella, Fairy God Killer. So
Okay.
pretty much it's like if you take Cinderella, like the Grimm fairy tale version of Cinderella, and
Yeah.
mix it with absolute Wonder Woman and like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Berserk, that's pretty
Oh,
much what
that
it is.
sounds good, man.
So she kills fairy godmothers, and it was an idea that just hit me out of left field, and I'm like, you know what, I want to expand my arsenal of books beyond Purity, and I was like, let's like dabble with some of the Grimm fairy tales. And my girlfriend, she had a huge part in this. I asked her, I'm like, who's your least favorite Disney princess? And she's like, honestly, because she loves Disney, she's like, honestly, Cinderella. I'm like, all right, because that means I'm gonna take your least favorite and make it interesting. So let's, and then like, so that's how it came to be. But yeah, so like ultimately, from Reign of Ages and just working on other projects
Yeah.
to now owning my own publishing company, and I'm
That's
trying to
awesome.
put out quarterly books. It's like it took a while, and I think a lot of the time that it took was just me kind of self-doubting myself and like being like, is this worth it? Should I do this? Like,
We all, yeah, we all have that. Creators have that
yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's what kind of stalled me a couple times. But then I remember my dad, he told me, he was like, you gotta just fucking do it. It's part of my language, but he was
No,
like,
no,
you
no.
gotta,
I'm telling you, me and you right here. We in the same zone right now. Because I was thinking that, in my head, after a while, when you have all that self doubt, just say fucking and do it. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's the truth. My dad, and even when it came to reaching out to editors and asking for work and looking
Yeah.
for new work, my dad and my other friend Anthony Marquez, they told me the same thing at 2 different times. It was like the weirdest thing. I guess it was a sign. They were like, "There's a 50% chance they'll say yes. There's a 50% chance they'll say no, but
Yeah.
there's a 0% chance if you don't ask."
That's
And
right.
I live by that just for work, but even when it comes to my own self-publishing stuff, like there's a 50% chance people will like it, there's a 50% people might not like it, but there's a 0% chance if you don't publish it, if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um
You're
so
right on.
and it's like very like it's very exciting stuff. It's stressful at times. Like it's a labor of love for sure, but
Yeah.
once it's like kind of like a new level of responsibilities now that you're just going like beyond drawing the pages. It's just
Yeah.
a lot of people from the outside perspective tend not to realize how much it takes to just make one book.
Just
And
one book. One
it's
book might take you a year. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Especially if you got a lot of passion behind it, and You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every detail, it takes a while, So I
Yeah.
perfectly understand. I
Yeah.
perfectly, I perfectly understand. Let me ask you a question though, man. With all of you learned so far about, the industry, um, how do you distribute and market your comics? Does it just stop at crowdfunding, or what else do you do?
So I use I'm actually going to be using a distributor uh for issue 4. Uh
Okay.
so technically I already use him, but he also has a distribution service as well. My friend Adam Watson at Comics Mainstream, he's responsible for shipping and fulfilling my books for
Okay.
each issue. He's responsible for getting everything to the backers, all the rewards and everything. I pretty much,
That take a load off, doesn't it? It take a
yeah,
load off.
like I
Yeah.
jokingly tell people, it's like some of these creators out there, they'll make like a factory out of their kitchen, like bagging and boarding
Yeah.
books, and I'm like, I have a 1-bedroom apartment, I can't do that.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but he also offers a distribution service as well, and so I'm going to be working with him with that. Now he's based out in Oregon City, so he's going to hit a lot of the West Coast end. But
Yeah.
whenever I get books, I usually do a lot of conventions,
Yeah.
and I also go to local shops. I'm based in New Jersey, so
Okay.
I go to like a lot of my local shops in New Jersey, just shop around.
Okay.
But a lot of the time, it's more so I like engaging with fans, so I usually like going to conventions. I'm going to be starting to branch out a state with conventions because I usually do a lot of the New Jersey shows, but
Gotcha.
I
See,
put in
that's
my
me. I just do a lot of Texas shows,
yeah.
but I do.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I want to do some out of state stuff as well.
Yeah. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, look, I recommend if you ever come to New Jersey, I recommend the Garden State Comic Fest. It's a very
Okay.
big show. Dave O'Hare is amazing. He took one show and made it to 4 different shows like throughout the year, and they're all very well attended. You have big names going there.
Okay.
And what I like about it too, and I'm not trying to say this to shade other conventions, but this is a comic book show. It's not for Funko Pops. It's not
That's a
for
great
the voice
point.
actors. It's not
That's a
for.
great point. Not to cut you off, but that's a great point. A lot of these comic cons are not comic
Mhm.
cons. You know what
I'll tell you, like New York Comic Con, I tabled there once with Sam, and
Okay.
I personally didn't like tabling at New York Comic Con. I didn't realize how many people really go to New York Comic Con. Like you're going like one day could be like 200,000 people. So like it was overwhelming in that degree. But like we would see like a lot of the artist alley, like first and foremost, artist alley is usually downstairs, and
Yeah.
usually the people who want to go down there, but it's you're kind of shoved in the downstairs where upstairs is the main floor. You could buy your samurai swords, you have your Funko Pops, you have your celebrities, and that's really what people go for,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Like when we were tabling, I'll never forget Sam asked someone like, "Oh, like I like your Spider-Man shirt. What's your favorite Spider-Man story?" And they were like, "Oh, I never read a Spider-Man book. I just like the character." I'm
Yeah.
like,
See, the Marvel movies did that.
"Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I blame it on the Marvel movies, man. They took the comics out of the comic book movies. You
My
know.
my favorite thing is when someone bases off a character bases their character's actions off of what they would do in the MCU, in the sense of like, oh, Peter Parker will never do that,
Yeah.
and like I'm like, have you read a Spider-Man comic before? Of course he would. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I've in Spider-Man No Way Home. This is what happened. And I'm like,
I was like, you know what?
man,
This is me right here. Just go on, peon. You're a peon. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, so like, but honestly, like I've noticed at a few of the bigger shows that I stumbled across a lot of fans like that where they're just there because they like anime or their favorite celebrity from Stranger Things is there.
Yeah.
You're seeing less people going for the comic art, but
Yeah.
these New Jersey shows, they prioritize their artists, which
Yeah.
I think is amazing. Like
Let me ask you a
they
quick question. You actually like set me up for all the questions that I have for you. So since you see this happening with the Comic Cons, is comic books a small niche now? Is it a dying form? What
No.
is your thoughts? What is your thoughts?
Um, it's nowhere near a dying art form.
I agree.
I
I agree.
think you have to look at it at numerous perspectives. I think people are looking for something new. I
Yeah.
think, unfortunately, you're getting more of an audience who they don't really appreciate the books from the 30s to like the 70s. Like, try convincing a 10-year-old kid to read a Neil Adams Batman book. They're
They're not
not.
gonna do
They're
it.
gonna want to read like the kid friendly Batman stories for like young.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They
what?
love those graphic novels that's at the
Yeah,
book fairs. Yeah.
yeah, and like Dogman, for example,
Dog
and
man. Yeah.
that's a comic book, and it's like it's so successful. The guy is almost a billionaire.
Yeah.
So and even too, there's always that debate that I see a lot of Western comic fans. They'll be like, "Oh, manga is outselling Western comics. That comics are in danger." I'm like, there's two reasons for that. First and foremost, comics aren't in danger because as a whole it's still storytelling. It's
Yeah.
still comics that are being spread throughout the world. Manga is equally as much as comics as a Superman book is.
Yeah.
But you got to put into perspective too. The continuity is like flawless with manga. You start at volume 1 and you read your way till the end.
Yeah.
Like the best example I could put is X-Men. You can't read an X-Men book these days because if you're a new X-Men fan and you walk into a store and you see like a Rogue and Gambit #1. Cool. You read that, you pick that up. When you open the page, you have no idea what's going on because in order to understand this series, you have to have read 5 previous X-Men series to understand the main plot of
Yeah.
it's a weird marketing, it's a poor business method that I
Yeah.
feel the bigger companies use, but that's why a lot of newer age comic book readers are more inclined to read manga because the continuity is pretty straightforward. And like that's what I like
Yeah.
to do with my own books with Purity. Like I like to keep that consistent. So start with issue 1
Yeah.
and so forth. And if there's any crossovers or any one shots down the road, they're going to be its own thing. But
Yeah.
that's why. So to answer your question, I don't think comics are dying. And
Yeah.
if comics were dying or a dying medium, there wouldn't be the MCU. There wouldn't be these big blockbuster movies. There wouldn't
I
be all
agree.
these toys and
Yeah.
like. So it's always going to be there. I think it's just more so how do we utilize it now? Like how do we change the narrative, no pun intended, to get that new age audience inclined to reading books?
I think it's there. Like we already have the answer. You just said it. Your Dog Man, your Diary of a Wimpy Kid,
Mhm.
those Batman and Superman DC books that's getting sold at the book fair.
Mhm.
What I notice about them is like you said, it's more of a simple aspect and it's a beginning, middle, and end to it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
When you read Diary of a Wimpy Kid or whatever those books is, beginning, middle, and end, and then you go to the next book.
Yeah.
You
Uh,
know, it's
that-
and that's just how manga is. It's just simple to the point. Boom. You know.
and that's honestly that's how I feel comics should be read. There shouldn't be confusion in comics, like
Yeah.
unless it's directed by the writer that they want to confuse the audience in the script. But like
Yeah.
the continuity should not be confusing. Like
I agree.
I remember as a kid, you know, I was a victim of that in a sense of I walk into a comic shop, I see a really cool cover with a really cool character, I want to read it, but then you realize it's issue 400 on their third series, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so you're telling me I have to read like 900 issues in order to understand what's happening now?
Your
Like,
brain instantly say, no way.
yeah,
No
it
way.
makes you like discouraged almost from
Yeah.
reading it, and it kind of keeps you on the lookout that you're only limited to reading issue ones.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it sucks because it just really limits the viewership because, like, and I think that's what DC is doing now, which I really like. They're making like little compiled trade paperbacks. They're like digest size,
Yeah.
and I think those are perfect
I
because
think they perfect too. They get people caught up. They get bragging rights. Hey, I read The Watchmen.
Yeah.
You read The Watchmen? Yeah, I read. I can tell you all about the story. You know? Yeah.
So I think comics are not going anywhere. And if anything, and this is my humblest opinion, I think we're experiencing a second indie renaissance, an indie wave. I think we're at a time that we haven't had this big of an indie push since the 90s, to where DC literally had to kill off Superman because their sales were going like down because Image took over. They literally had to kill Superman to, compete with Image at the time. So now I'm not saying that's happening again, but we're at a point where a lot of people are looking at indie books and indie creators, and they want to read something beyond Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman. They want to read what this random guy comes up with, like this new character that, it just like piques their interest. So I think the time is now for anyone to really publish their book. It's like now, like
it's a great time.
Mm-hmm.
2 more questions and then I'm gonna let you go, my friend.
Sure.
Purity and Reign of Ages.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know the lore with Reign of Ages, but I just want to ask this: since you got Sky Maiden, the name of your company, your publishing company, will we ever see a crossover? Or is that not possible?
I don't think it's not possible. I think it would just have to be.
That's 2 bad girls right there.
Like I think it would be something me and Sam would have to negotiate because I'm a co-creator of Reign, so there's certain things that I can publish on my own, and there's certain things of the character that I can't publish since it's trademarked to Sinopa. But there's I don't see why there would be an issue. I think it would be a cool idea. But I think one day, hopefully, fingers crossing, we get to see Purity and Reign. Purity is actually currently in a crossover we're launching in next July. The penciler Ethan Farina, his character Reptilia, his Kickstarter just funded. And she's basically like think of Tomb Raider, but with dinosaurs and time travel. That's Reptilia. She's a great character. But we've been working on this crossover for a few months now, so we're gonna be unveiling it soon. But that's the first ever Purity crossover, and like I said, cheers to many more. Like I would love to have a Reign crossover. I love to have.
This is Purity number 4, right?
Yep, this is for Purity number 4, launching early 2026. We have, as you can see in the preview page, that is Marissa Pope. She did one of the covers. It's a beautiful cover. There's a lot of heavy hitters this time around. We have Bill McKay. He did a cover. Justin Hunt is doing a cover. Who else did covers? Like Mariana Benitez Chapo. I did a cover. You have Courtney Rose Dameron, who returns on Purity number 4. So it's going to be a fun cover run.
Did you do the thumbnail art?
Yeah, I made the graphic, but that's the Marissa Pope cover. Graphic. Yeah.
Oh man, that's dope, man. I gotta get all 4 issues. Of course, it's gonna be a perk where I can get all 4 issues.
Oh, of course.
Okay. You guys make sure to check that out. The link is going to be in the description. Last question. I always ask people this question. This is always the end things. In the next few years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, what is your goal for Sky Maiden?
My goal is to have a good number of working titles. I want to get to the point where I'm able to put out books every other month. I also, this is more of a personal goal for me, and it to a lot of the viewers out like watching this might be like, really, is that like the biggest goal? But for me, it's always been a goal. I want to get to the point where I can get Purity action figures. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I look, to me, that's always been an I made it moment. Like I've seen people like Tom Hutchinson, Dan Mendoza, they all have
Yeah.
like Critter action figures, Zombie Tramp
Yeah.
action figures, Lady Death action figures. To me, that would be like my I made it moment. I have
Okay.
a legitimate action figure that
Okay.
people want and buy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, with Sky Main Studios, I'd say I want to get to a point. My goal is to be able to put out a bi-monthly book, like a normal, like a standard publisher. They put out, numerous titles like every other month.
All right, man. Hey, you got the knowledge. You come from the Kubert school. You got all these accolades. Your resume is incredible, man. So it's
Thank
no
you.
doubt in my mind you're gonna get that action figure, man. It's no
Thank
doubt in
you.
my mind.
Really?
Yes, sir. Where can the people find you, my friend?
You can find me on Instagram and X at Nick Caponi Art, no spaces, no caps. And then also on Instagram, I have the at Sky Maiden Studios account as well. So
Okay.
feel free to give that a follow.
Nick, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for having
Had
me.
a very good time scratching your brain. And that is another installation of Indie Comic Secrets. Peace.
You had the best verse on the tape. Unbelievable. Oh, you playing it? Now listen.